Hi friends! Welcome to our new video. Have you ever asked yourself how the body makes use of the food it contains? Anatomical structures that are used in the preparation of food. Food must be transformed into a fluid before it can be absorbed into the bloodstream and transported throughout the body to feed the muscles and the nervous system. Digestion is the process by which the stomach and other organs break down solid food into liquids and other substances. The digestive organs are the organs that are responsible for this task. They are composed of a food tube and a number of gland-like structures. The food tube is a tube that is used to transport food. The food channel measures approximately 30 feet in length. The mouth is the first section of the pharynx, which is responsible for connecting the back of the tongue to the back of the throat. In addition, it connects to the gullet, which is a tube that extends from behind the rib cage and into the stomach below the diaphragm. When the stomach is empty, it opens into a tube called the bowels or intestines, which is over 25 feet long and contains a lot of food. In order to fill the majority of the abdominal cavity, this tube is folded into a bundled structure. It is a small tube with one end closed, or a group of such tubes, that has the ability to extract material from the blood and turn it into a liquid. In addition to glands beneath each ear and 4 others near the tongue, saliva is produced by tubes that enter the mouth. This pink gland is located at the back of the stomach and is long and flat. It produces enzymes that help digest food. Both of these, as well as the liver, which is a large brown gland, secrete juices into the intestines. The glands, which are small tubes, that line the inside surface of the stomach and intestines help to regulate the digestive process. When the juice produced by these glands is combined with the juice produced by the other glands, the food is softened and transformed into a fluid. Using the term mouthwork, we are referring to the work that people do with their mouths. There are 3 functions of the mouth. Ideally, it should shred the lumps of food into small pieces so that they can be thoroughly moistened with the slippery fluid known as saliva and swallowed with minimal difficulty. This requires the meal to be moved around in order for it to become drenched in saliva. A good flavor must be obtained from a dish before it can be held for an extended period of time, as this causes the stomach juices to flow. It is only after the food has been transformed into a liquid that the flavor can be released. It should not be washed down with water because doing so dilutes the stomach secretions and makes them less effective. Food should not be consumed until it has been broken up into pieces about the size of a pinhead, according to the FDA. Some foods, such as cheese, bananas, and almonds, should be ground even finer than they are currently. Large pieces of food cannot be broken down in the stomach because it lacks the necessary enzymes. In order for the stomach juices to perform their full function, the meal must be thoroughly chewed in the mouth before swallowing. To eat with a fork, bread, meat, and potatoes should be cut into pieces no larger than half the size of your thumb and eaten one at a time. It is recommended that you chew each piece 20 to 30 times before putting another piece into your mouth. If you prepare your food in this manner, you will not suffer from a headache, indigestion, or dyspepsia, which is a stomach illness. The number of people suffering from this illness is so high, according to reports, that more than $5 million is spent on medicine to help them each year to treat them. Not chewing your food thoroughly may not cause many aches and pains when you are young, but it is difficult to break the habit of eating quickly once you have developed it. It is impossible for someone who chews their food poorly to stay healthy for an extended period of time or to become strong, healthy, and powerful. The stomach's role in the body. After being swallowed, food passes through the gullet and into the digestive tract. This is a large bag that has the capacity to hold more than a quart of fluid. An external muscle wall and an inner skin-like layer filled with microscopic tubes known as gastric glands form the stomach's exterior and interior walls, respectively. A watery fluid known as gastric juice is ejected from their stomachs by millions of them, a drop at a time. It begins to flow as soon as we detect the smell or taste of food, and it continues to flow indefinitely as long as there is food in the stomach. In order to aid in the transformation of a portion of the food into a more watery fluid, gastric juice must be present in the stomach. It must be thoroughly combined with the food in order to achieve this result. The mixing process is carried out by the muscles of the stomach's exterior walls. They squeeze together and then loosen up, moving the food around and turning it over so that every particle is saturated with gastric juice over and over again until it is completely saturated. What is the average amount of time food remains in your stomach? Until the food has turned into a thin grayish liquid, it is prevented from escaping from the stomach by a ring of muscle that surrounds the stomach's end. Some types of food require the stomach to digest them for 1 or 2 hours. It must be used in conjunction with other foods for 4 to 5 hours. Soft-boiled eggs, milk, roasted potatoes, and broiled lamb can all be digested within 2 hours if they are consumed within 2 hours of preparation. Preparing the pig, the veal, the cabbage, and the fried potatoes will take 4 to 5 hours total. When a person is ill, his stomach is weak, and he should eat only those foods that require the least amount of effort from it during that time. The intestines are hard at work. The intestine, which is a long, folded tube, completes the final step in the process of preparing food for absorption into the bloodstream. In combination with the meal, the pancreas and liver juices turn the portions of the stomach that are not digested into a liquid. When it comes to work, the gut is just as important as the stomach in terms of function. When the stomach is sick, an excessive amount of labor is transferred to the intestines, which become sick and painful as a result. Into the intestine, 2 tubes carry the pint of watery fluid from the pancreas and the quart of greenish-yellow fluid called bile from the liver. These juices are mixed with the meal by gently swishing the intestine back and forth, and the walls are pressed together by the muscles that form the intestine's outer coat. Immediately following completion of the digestive process in the intestine, the meal enters the bloodstream. The process by which food enters the bloodstream. After food has passed through the intestines for an hour or 2, it becomes almost as thin as milk. Sucking on the watery meal are hundreds of millions of small finger-like growths that protrude from the inside of the intestines and swell up. A quarter of the size of a pencil point, these tiny slurping fingers are used to pick up food from the plate. They are referred to as villi. The villi are filled with blood tubes that have thin walls. Through these barriers, food is absorbed into the bloodstream and used for energy. The fatty components travel up a tube that runs along the backbone and drains into a blood tube in the neck, but the remainder is carried to the liver by the digestive tract. Food travels with the blood from the neck and liver to the heart, which then distributes it to all of the body's organs and systems. The functions of the liver. The liver has a dark crimson body that is roughly the same size as the top part of your head and is surrounded by a thin white membrane. Directly beneath the diaphragm, it is located in the peritoneum. It's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's there to keep the insides of the body clean while also dispensing nutritional supplements. The liver is responsible for filtering waste from the blood and excreting it into the intestine with bile. When there is no food in the gut, bile is stored in the gallbladder, which is located beneath the liver. The liver is responsible for converting waste products in the bloodstream into a form that can be excreted by the other organs. The intestines also serve to store some elements of the food that passes through them, allowing them to be released back into the body as needed. When should you eat and how much should you eat are 2 important questions. Whenever the digestive organs are not functioning properly, the whole body becomes ill. When you consume an excessive amount of food, your stomach becomes overworked. It fills to the point where the food cannot be moved around and thoroughly mixed with the juices because of the pressure. Germs then attack the food, causing it to become sour as a result. Rather than being harmless, the microorganisms may cause a portion of the meal to be poisonous. A headache and a general feeling of ill will result from ingestion of this poison. Take care not to make it a habit of taking powders to relieve headache symptoms. They have a proclivity to cause heartbreak. Make use of less food, eat it more slowly, and refrain from consuming anything to wash it down afterward. Stop eating as soon as your stomach begins to feel full. Each meal necessitates the stomach's labor for approximately 4 hours. After that, it is necessary to take an hour to relax. This suggests that the time between meals should be approximately 5 hours. Extremely small children and people who are ill require food on a more frequent basis. Boys and girls should refrain from snacking on chocolate, cake, or other sweets in between meals. It has a stifling effect on the appetite and is likely to cause the stomach to become disorganized. Signs of impending danger. A white or yellowish coating on the tongue, bad breath, intestinal pain, and a headache are all indications that you may be suffering from the disease. In this case, it indicates that the food organs are not functioning properly and that illness is likely to occur if nothing is done to help them. Medicine may be beneficial, but it is likely that eating meals that are easier to digest, eating less, chewing more, and getting plenty of fresh air exercise will be the most beneficial measures. Tobacco chewing has been shown to have negative effects on digestion. Some men chew tobacco for up to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. In response to the flavor of tobacco, saliva from the glands is released and flows into the mouth. This dissolves the toxicity of the tobacco, which is then expelled through the mouth. It is possible that the man will be poisoned if he swallows all of the tobacco-soaked saliva. The chewing of tobacco causes a significant loss of saliva, which is necessary for the digestive process of food. Chewing tobacco tires the jaw muscles, making it difficult to properly chew food and swallow it. Certain toxins found in tobacco are absorbed into the body through blood vessels in the mouth lining, which is a common route of entry. This is demonstrated by the fact that a boy who has not grown accustomed to tobacco becomes quite ill after only 10 minutes of chewing a mouthful of tobacco is exposed to the substance. Smoking and digestive problems. Some people believe that smoking a cigar after a meal will help them digest their food better. According to some circumstances, this may be the situation. In the case of a lawyer who is enthusiastic about a case he is attempting or a businessman who is concerned about his losses, the blood flows to the head rather than to the stomach, which is where the blood is needed to release digestive acids. Smoking causes some gastric liquid to leak into the stomach, but it also irritates taste nerves, making food less enjoyable than it would be if the nerves were not irritated by tobacco smoke. Despite the fact that smoking may temporarily improve digestion, the toxin in tobacco may be harmful to the body over the long term. Smoking is extremely harmful to growing bodies, and therefore, prudent boys would avoid it at all costs when they are growing up. Beer and the digestive system. Some people believe that drinking beer with their meals enhances the flavor of the food they are eating. Others disagree. Inability to fully appreciate the flavor of the food because they wash it down before it has had a chance to be completely saturated with saliva. Beer's flavor may, on occasion, cause an increase in the flow of gastric juice into the stomach, but the alcohol in the beer is likely to cause stomach movements to become more difficult. As a result, it is difficult for the food to be thoroughly and quickly mixed with the fluids. Multiple glasses of beer consumed at a meal will result in a slow and inefficient digestion of the food in your stomach. The relationship between wine and the digestive system. A common reason for people to drink wine is to stimulate their appetite for food. But the alcohol in it is likely to do more harm than good because it causes the stomach's mixing muscles to work more slowly because it causes the muscles that mix the food to work more slowly. Some of the food may become sour before it becomes moistened with the juice. Typically, consuming a large amount of wine during a meal is hazardous to one's health. This is the state of appetite in its natural state. If one is in good health, every meal should elicit a desire for the food being consumed. A natural appetite is defined as a desire for a reasonable amount of food on a regular basis. Exercising and getting some fresh air may aid in the development of a healthy appetite. It is likely that overindulging in sweets while also breathing polluted air will cause you to lose your appetite in the long run. An abnormal appetite can be caused by certain substances such as opioid pain relievers, tobacco products, beer, wine, and whiskey. That is, after a few months of use, it is impossible to stop using these drinks without experiencing severe consequences. The younger a person is, the more quickly his or her appetite is established. Therefore, young people should abstain from the consumption of tobacco and all forms of alcoholic beverages. If you liked the video, press like and subscribe the channel.